Ladies and gents, welcome to War Thunder with Mags, and welcome to my review on the TU-2 series, specifically the TU-2s. Now, when patch 1.39 dropped, there was a 6-day period where you could unlock the LA-174, the prototype for the LA-15. Now, I managed to unlock it in only 2 days, going through the LA-15 and then into the LA-174, and I posted my progression of this on the Reddit and had a lot of requests asking me how I did it, and for a review on this aircraft as a result. So here it is. Now, first things first, there is one thing you do need to do to this aircraft to make it the best grind aircraft in the game. That is a talisman. 1700 gold, and it makes the best Era 5 jet grinder in the Russian line, hands down. It is a monster when it comes to ripping RP down to get through things. It's possibly the best grinding aircraft for any nation in the game. But why the TU-2s and not its later models? Well, if we go through to the research tab, the TU-2s in Era 4 come in 3 different flavours. You have the TU-2s, which is armed with 3 12.7mm UB machine guns. They're Sheiker's machine guns, 2 20mm Shavak cannons on the front, and overall it flies like a heavy fighter. Now, what's the difference between the TU-2s, the 44 and the 59? Well, the 44 is exactly the same aircraft in every way. However, it does have the addition of air brakes, but that punches it up to a battle rating of 6. The final variety, the 59, again, same aircraft as the 44, except its 12.7 directly in the tail has been replaced by a 20mm cannon. This is a devastating bomber to fly, but at a 6.3 battle rating, it will get into matches with aircraft like 163s and the dreaded 262 with a commonality. And a 262's 430mm cannons will tear the 59 apart if you let it get anywhere near the aircraft, which they will with a regularity. The TU-2s, however, only has a 5.7 battle rating, but it's still in Era 4, so it still gets all the rewards that the previous aircraft do without having to worry about facing jets. In fact, the only jets you will commonly encounter in the TU-2s is the 162. What does Talisman do, however? Well, for that 1700 gold, if you look over, I have the P63A10 and the new Premium Spitfire. Now, their rewards are 232% reward on research bonus points. That's what they drag in. With Talisman, the TU-2s gets 244%. It actually brings in more. Its low battle rating means that it will only face lower end jets, and why its battle rating is higher than these aircraft, it doesn't really matter. These aircraft will constantly wind up in battle alongside of it anyway, so the 5.7 is largely irrelevant. You're not going to have any advantage with these. The second thing is it requires very little effort to drag down a lot of RP on this plane. So, that's enough talking about the aircraft menu. Let's go and have a look at how it works in battle. And into battle we go. Now, the first thing to note with the TU-2s is the way its defensive armament is actually laid out on the aircraft. It has 3 defensive gunners. However, all 3 are in a position to cover directly behind the tail, and in fact in a 90-degree arc behind the aircraft. The first is based in the back of the cockpit, firing directly down over the spine. The second one is halfway down over the spine, firing it over the tail, and the third is directly underneath the elevators in the underside of the tail of the aircraft. This means attacking a TU-2 from directly behind, you are actually putting yourself in front of all 3 defensive gunners at the same time. And even though they're only 50 caliber machine guns, 50 caliber machine guns aiming directly at your engine cowling is not a place you want to be. The amount of players that make the mistake of falling in on the tail of this aircraft only to get them shot down is incredible. I've had matches where I've not only taken out the most ground targets, but where I've been easily the highest kills for aircraft within the match. Now, the second thing to remember with this aircraft is the bomb load. Now, I use the 4x500 kilo bomb load on the TU-2s. It's ideal for base attack. Now, the Russian bombs seem to have a smaller explosion damage than equivalent 500 bombs of some other nations, so it will take all 500 kilos to take out a base. Now, the layout of this bomb load is 2 bombs internal and 2 on pylons on the external sides of the aircraft, just in between, as you can see here, in between the fuselage and the engine cowlings. The first bomb drop will release the 2 under the wings, and they will release at the same time, meaning that you only get 3 bomb drops for this load. However, they're highly accurate. You have access to bomb sites as well as the holographic target reticle on the ground for bombing. pinpoint striking bases is incredibly easy in this aircraft. Now, if you're going to be bombing bases, speed is obviously a factor. Now, the listed max airspeed for a fully upgraded TU-2s is 547 kilometers an hour. However, it can hold up to 670 kilometers an hour without breaking its wings. Do not exceed this speed, however, it will break the aircraft in half. Now, as you can see, I've come out of my air spawn and I'm going for the far target first. I want the one furthest away. The idea is here, I'm going to use the speed from the altitude advantage of the air spawn to get to this target and eliminate it, return to base, reload if it's an option available, and then return back and hit the closer target. It makes the second attack much faster than the first. There are AA trucks and other targets to hit within the area, and they are targets of opportunity on return after you've taken out the base. Now, I've shut down the WEP, I've passed 340 kilometers an hour. I'm just angling the plane at the moment. The first pass I always do is to clear out the AA surrounding the bases. It's not because they're of any particular risk, they're just 3 easy ground kills to start the match. If you pick your angles right, you can set up to take out 2 on a single pass and you only have to come back for 1. So line her up. Short burst, first target is out, move to second target. Second target destroyed. Selecting third target. Now, as you can see, the aircraft is listed as a 30-second turn time. It's not. It's closer to 10 to 12 seconds to bring this thing around. As I said before, this thing flies like a heavy fighter. Next target down, bring the aircraft around. Release bombs on the way through. Why I'm in the middle of the turn. Zone destroyed. That's the first bomb target, area target, base target destroyed. 3 anti-aircraft kills, and I'm heading back towards the second base. And I'm going to take out the 3 anti-aircraft guns around the second base before I pass, and the plan is to unload the last of my ammunition on the AA convoy that is moving from that base towards our area targets. Now, after striking the base, I'm maintaining just over 390 kilometers an hour on return, and I'm not using WEP. Now, why the TU-2s can maintain WEP for up to 8 minutes at a time? At this point, enemy fighters should still be getting into position to engage the rest of our team's LA-7s and P-63s. I'd rather not use the weapon unless I absolutely have to in a combat situation. This thing flying like a heavy fighter it does have the ability to engage air targets in dogfights if necessary. But it's best to make sure you've got the WEP available for that little bit of extra oomph. It is a fairly heavy aircraft, and that extra performance will help if you run into a situation on it. The last thing you want to do is be forced into an engagement and have both your engines on overheat. So just picking an angle to line up the next 2 AAA, making my move. First target down, select second. Second ground kill, swing it around. Third AA gun is just off to my right. Throttle back to 79 so I don't overshoot. Next target down, and now I am ready to vacate the area. Now you can see here why the ammunition load on the twin 20mm is low. With controlled bursts you can easily take down ground targets, and I still have over 188 rounds of ammunition left available to me for whatever purpose I choose to use them on. Now, the goal here was to go and strafe out the convoy ahead, so I begin moving in on those targets, but I am aware that enemy fighters will now be making the area. I'm keeping particular attention to that premium Spitfire that is actually getting closer at the moment. The dogfight it's engaged in is moving my way. So, move to ground strafe. 2 targets out. Medium tanks ahead. The 20mm can take out medium tanks, but honestly I don't usually bother wasting the ammunition. If you take out the soft targets behind them, the 4 tanks will not be able to capture the bases. They will simply be taken out by ground defences as they approach. Now beginning the pass again. Premium Spitfire is still 10 k's out, so I'm good to go for another pass. I've picked a bad angle here, I'm only going to get a single shot through. Take out 1, pass over, switch over to tail guns. Now unfortunately on that down angle I've only got 150 caliber machine gun that can hit it, and armoured vehicles are somewhat resistant to 50 caliber fire. It takes a pretty good burst at a fairly close range to take them out, so I am going to have to make another pass. So again, just line the targets up long ways down the runway, or down the roadway rather. First target's a hit, wasn't a kill, take out the second, switch over to tail gunners. And no kill. Bring it around for another pass. I've still got 73 rounds of ammunition on board, but I've just spotted an aircraft coming in close. The premium Spitfire is closing in. It's on the tail of one of our LA-7s. I decide I'm going to go and help. Now this is another thing you can do in a TU-2 that most fighters do not expect you to be capable of as you're a bomber. Moving in on the premium Spitfire. Just checking my sides, making sure there's nobody else in the area to engage me that I'm not suspecting. 2.8k's out. Close out to 2. Down to 1.5. Spitfire is not trying to get away at the moment. It's looking to re-engage that LA-7. It's not suspecting that I'm going to be coming in to attack it. Just carefully watching the plane's roll. I need to monitor where its attitude is. It's obviously being a Spitfire. It's easily more manoeuvrable than I am. And there we go. TU-2 just cleared the LA-7's tail. He's now free to move out. I've taken my first air kill. Now I'm considering going back to ground strafing at this point in time, but I only have 36 rounds of cannon left on board, no bombs, and, well, really there's nothing really attractive in the area, so I'm preparing to RTV. And then this guy shows up. Now unlike the premium Spitfire, this guy is fully aware that I'm here and that I am dangerous, so I'm not going to be able to sideblind him, and I'm not going to outmaneuver a Bearcat. So the first thing I do is actually turn to face my tail directly towards him. This is deliberate. I want all of my gunners to be aiming the exact direction that he's coming from. I want him to dive in on my tail. I'm basically baiting him to attack me directly from behind. Put the plane into level flight and take control of the gunners. Now I'm just watching the area, making sure there's no other fighters coming in, that it's just him, and preparing for him to close in. I run wep to start with, get enough speed on him so that he has to build up his speed. And then my usual tactic is to turn wep off and kill the throttle back to 80%. It forces him to rapidly close distance on me, and usually to force an attack on me before he's entirely prepared or selected exactly where he's going to put the shots. Catching them unawares like that can give you a few extra moments where they're a little confused to actually put shells accurately into the aircraft. So he's 5.7, I've shut wep down. .3. I'm just keeping a watch. I'm not going to start putting shots in the end. I don't want to spook him. If you don't fire on them too early, it's often fighter pilots will think that you've taken damage and possibly lost your tail gunners, which gives them a free kill. So don't pull the trigger until you can see them up nice and close. Now he's beginning his shots. 7k as I bring in my fire. He has managed to light an engine. But as you can see, he's billowing smoke already. So why he managed to take my engine, I've done critical damage to his straight up. Comes back for a second pass. Continues shots, running the lead. You can see, even at 370, he's actually slowly dropping back. I have done massive damage to the engine. He has suffered a massive performance drop. I've likely blackened it. I put another hit into him. 1.3, now I'm going to hold. He pulls directly behind, so I take a shot at another fire, get another hit into him at 1.3. It's an important thing to remember. If you pull directly onto a tail of an aircraft like this, they can guide their shots out quite accurately out to 1.5 kilometers. Don't sit directly behind them under any circumstances. And he decides he's had enough and returns back. Unfortunately, he did crash. I did end up shooting him down, but the game didn't award me the kill. It was just classed as a crash, because while I did critical damage to the aircraft, I did no actual criticals to secure the kill for myself. And that was the last aircraft up in the match, and the win. So let's check out the results. Now, results for the match. I came second place on the team with 10 ground kills, 1 base kill and an air kill, 56,451 silver lions, 6,243 mod research points, and 27,468 air research points on a premium account on an X2. And that was a long match for a TU2. Most of them don't last more than 10 minutes. That one came in at around 14. What else can you pull with this aircraft? Now, unfortunately, I didn't record this particular match, but this was 2 bases and 19 ground targets on an X2 premium account, and this is 50,000 RP in 12 minutes. This is the sort of results you'll pull in regularly in the TU-2s. In fact, most battles that I've had in this aircraft tend to range between 30,000 RP and 60,000 RP, depending on air kills and how long I've managed to stay up. Now, while the last match was a great example of what a standard TU2 match looks like, the Bearcat pilot was a little bit too cautious to show you how dangerous the tail gunners on this aircraft truly are. So, I give you this match. K4 flies in. K4 goes out. First air kill of the match, and I haven't even made the bombing target yet. Now, this match was on the last match I had on the last bout of X4s. This was a 2 kill, 1 base, 1 ground target match. It was just over 5 minutes long, or 5 minutes that I spent in the air, and it was 44,000 RP. So this is how quickly this thing can generate XP, even if you get a match where you're shot down, just by the enemy pilots not thinking about what they're doing. Second comes up, D13. I've already put hits all over his wings. Second series of hits, I've just crippled his right wing. There's another hit into his engine cowling. Another hit into his engine cowling. I've shredded his right wing, and he can't main altitude or continue to fly. Down he goes. Continue firing some shots just to make sure he goes, and that's it. Now, as you can see, I'm taking hits. Now, this match I didn't survive, and it was because the enemy team did have 2 162s. This was a jet match. 2 162s that were on comms and squatted, and were extremely good pilots who knew exactly how to take this aircraft apart. They do high-speed boom and zoom, so my tail gunners don't have a chance to lock onto them. And if you can see, if you watch where they hit by looking at the damage model, you can see they are deliberately aiming at the backs of my engines with their 20mm cannons. They actually don't try and destroy the airframe. They know the airframe is too durable for them to take out easily, but a bomber with no engines is a dead bomber. So the first engine's already gone black. I am trying to manoeuvre, and the plane will manoeuvre well, even operating on only 1 engine. 162's coming in for a second pass. He puts a second burst in. This one's hit my second wing into the back of the second engine. My whole plane's been pinked now. I do bring it around, hoping he'll try and continue the turn and I might get a chance, but the other 162 is now diving in and taking shots on me. These guys were very, very good. And both engines are down. First engine is completely stalled, second engine is now on fire, and into the ground I go. So the TU-2s. With Talisman, it's a better grind aircraft than the premium D9, and at 1,700 gold as opposed to 7,000 gold, it is a hell of a lot cheaper as well. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Click like if you do, subscribe if you want to see more. Fly smart, fly safe, and I'll catch you in the skies.